You're listening to the Flooring Company Marketing Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping your service-based business grow and thrive using the latest technology in internet marketing. And now, here's the host of our show and the CEO of Grow Inc., Matt Law.
So you want to scale your business. I think it's a great thing to want to grow. And in our last episode, we talked all about the right people on your team. And we started talking about that person that answers the phone and that they are the front-facing person of your business. And they got to be kind and polite, and they got to be able to get people scheduled. We talked about your sales guy, how they have to be someone that people know, like, and trust, and that they are the ones that are going to help you drive revenues. And then that last team, that is going to be your contractors and installers. Maybe they're employees, maybe they're contractors, but they're the ones that are actually doing the work, and they got to do a good job for your company to grow. And I hear this all the time. They say, Matt, I just can't get the right people. And here is the hardest part of this next episode. Episode number 2 in our four-part series, we are talking about scaling your business. Episode 2 is called The Right Business Owner. It's you. It's the person you look at in the mirror. And so I want to preface this by saying I've been an entrepreneur just like you for a long time, 25 years. I've led great people. I've led people that are easy to lead. I've led really difficult people, people that are hard to lead. I have been at times a really good leader. I've been at times a mediocre leader. And at times, unfortunately, I've been a bad leader and have made bad decisions. Ultimately, the success for my company, the success for your company, the success for us is not based on other people. It is based on us. And we have to take 100% control and accountability for our leadership and our ability to find and nurture and bring on the right people. And so if you say, Matt, it's the reason we're not winning, it's because of my team. Well, you are kind of in charge of your team. And if you aren't the right leader, you aren't going to get the right people. And so again, we're glad you're here. We're excited to talk about scaling your business, but I want to be very transparent. I want to be very honest and almost brutally honest with you about some of the things I see in entrepreneurs that keep them from winning because they are simply not being great leaders. So let's jump into our training. I want to start off by telling you a quick story. A while back, we did some work for a contractor, and I was actually pretty surprised at how high their revenues were because he told me there were no employees. And I'm thinking, well, there's probably some virtual agents out there, or there is somebody else doing something. But no, actually there were 0 employees. The person answered the phone. He went to the appointments. He managed the projects, and he just basically worked his tail off. And I was like, man, I'm surprised that they could grow to this number on their own, because I have companies that I've worked with smaller revenues that have 4 or 5 people. And so he's doing pretty good. And it didn't take us too long to figure out why there were no employees. And I'll try to say this nicely. He was a very demanding business owner. And what I realized is that he did not extend trust to people, to anyone really. And so within the first couple of months of working for him, we caught multiple things that lacked integrity. And I don't want to go into all of the details, but a lot of times when people lack integrity, when they lack integrity personally, they will be suspicious of other people and not show trust. So in other words, when a business owner lacks character or lacks integrity, he will be suspicious of others. But the biggest issue is people won't follow them. And if nobody will follow you, right, and no one likes you, no one cares about you, then you are going to have to do all of the work yourself, and you're going to have to work alone. John Maxwell calls this the law of the lid, as you are the lid of your organization, of your business. So the lid becomes you as the business owner. Now, yes, you are supposed to be a good boss that keeps people accountable, but being a good boss and a good person means showing kindness and mutual respect for your employees and your team members. And so today, as we dig in, I'm going to talk to you about 4 character traits that I see with successful entrepreneurs that are able to scale their business. And listen, none of us are perfect in any area. We all have issues. We all make mistakes. And so this isn't about perfection. This is about, hey, are you falling into some of these traps? And I'm going to kind of give you some examples as we go through. So quality number 1 is focus. Number 1 quality I see in successful entrepreneurs that are able to scale their service business is they have ability to focus. And this is what I like to say. If everything is important, then nothing is. If everything we are doing is important, then nothing is. And here's what I know. Many of you listening to our podcast today, you have a touch of attention deficit disorder. Some of you have some hyperactivity in there. And here's what I know. I take medicine for ADHD. I have thousands of ideas. We should do this. We should do that. If every idea is important, then nothing is. And what it requires is an immense amount of discipline so that you will focus and do your work. Do your work. There's a book I read years ago. It's called The War of Art. It's a great book for business owners, knowing that you need to just sit down. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to do your work. And this is why it matters. If you are scattered and you have 1,000 balls in the air and you're like, hey team, we should do this. No, let's do this. If you are scattered with 1,000 different ideas in 1,000 different directions, you will lose respect from your team, mainly because you're always making promises that something is going to be done. Hey, it's going to be easier, team, when we have this in place. It's going to be easier when we do this. It's going to be easier when we finally get this. But this is the problem. It's never going to get done because you are so scattered in so many different directions. This pops up, and then you have this pop up, and no, let's add this, and then you're going to fix this. And so nothing is ever done. Another book that really speaks to this is a book called Essentialism. It's doing the most important things. And the reason why you probably have so many balls in the air and you don't have focus in your business is because you never took time to set priorities. What matters most? So you're flying by the seat of your pants. And so if this is you, I'm going to say it kindly and as best I can in love. I struggle with this myself. For years, I would start so many ideas that we would not have any one thing done. I had thousands of great ideas, so many ideas, but never one thing done. And part of it is there's a lot of reasons for that, but I'm going to give you some practical things that maybe will help you, which have helped me to be more disciplined. And the first thing I will say is that I say no to a lot of things. And so when you have an idea, I have a notes that I put in my Apple Notes on my phone. I'll put them in there, but usually they will sit there for a long time, so many times that I will realize it's just not worth it. So sometimes you guys have an idea and you start working on it right away. In the meantime, there's 1,000 other projects that are not finished. So number 1, say no to things. Say no to opportunities, delay ideas, write them down, shelf them, and then come back. And what I find is a lot of times I will come back to something and I just say, no, it is not worth it. So say no to ideas. Number 2, guard your calendar. And this is also another way of saying no. You have to work on your business, not just in it. So when my team gathers, we work on our business. What can we do better? What can we do faster? Not just doing all client work, not just doing busy work, but we have to work on the business, not just in it. If I want to just be busy all the time, I wouldn't be making training podcasts. I would not be making training videos. I would not be working on the things that will help our business be better and healthier, working on our CM, working on our systems. I would not do that. Would not be sharpening my own life with the things that I'm studying. So here's what I'm going to tell you. You got to guard your calendar, say no to some things so that you can work on your business, delegate some things, right? So another thing that you can do is prioritize small wins. A lot of times people start out with these huge projects and they want everything done all at once. And so what happens is they never get anything done. It's better to have one small thing finished and done because that's going to build momentum. But if you have to have everything done at the same time, everything complete, everything just perfect, it will never get done because the enemy to done is perfection. So if you are a ADD perfectionist, business owner, you lack focus, you have all these ideas, but you can't commit to completing anything because it's not perfect. This is a huge enemy to growth. Another thing that I see with business owners is that if they're ADD and they can't focus and they have to have some part of control or ownership of everything, they won't delegate. So they won't delegate a task. And so they have to touch every decision. And so if you are in this situation of chaos where and you probably know if I'm talking to you, if you are all over the place with 1,000 ideas and you have promises outstanding to staff that would happen, people that would done, projects, whatever it is, but you haven't done them, but you're busy all the time with no margin, it's probably because you didn't guard your calendar. You didn't prioritize just to get small wins done. You didn't eliminate distractions and delegate things. You did not say no and delay ideas. You're impulsive. Now, that's part of what makes you an amazing business owner. That's what makes you creative and driven. And so I don't want to beat you up for that. For me, I take medicine. I have accountability in my calendar. I have accountability with my business partner. I have accountability with the people I work with. And my integrity matters that what I say I'm going to do, I do. And so it's not easy. Sometimes I fall behind, but I really have to say, Matt, know yourself. Know that you're all over the place. Know that you can get too creative and you got to go back and you got to go and do the things you said you're going to do. The secret for all of this is knowing what your priorities are, what matters most. What are you going to do today? And I'll give you an example. Like if you could spend more time planning and not just working, you would be better off. And so every morning when I get up and have coffee, right, I sit down and I think about the big rocks that I want to accomplish today. I'm not trying to check off 1,000 things. I'm thinking about what are the big rocks that I need to do. And I'll write those down, put those on my list, even sometimes make a mental checklist. And those are the big things that I'm going to get done first, right? Now imagine, what if you came to work each week or each day with a clear list of 1 or 2 big objectives or rocks? Now, I know that some of you have to work in your business and you have to do service calls and you have to answer the phone depending on where you're at. And maybe you can't just work on your business for 40 hours. But even if you have 12 hours a week, what if you spent about 2 hours thinking about the most important things and 10 hours of productive work making it better, training somebody, empowering somebody, teaching somebody, or documenting something, building a system, writing out some thoughts? What if you spent time brainstorming and thinking through it and getting things clear so you know what matters most? So number one, when a business owner has ADD, they are going to struggle because, and I mean like untreated ADHD or whatever you want to call it, when they lack focus, things don't get done. And when things don't get done, morale is low. There's a lot of chaos. There's turnover. It really hurts the team. So I would encourage you, think about how you can focus. The second trait that I see in really successful entrepreneurs is that they empower people. And so good entrepreneurs are focused, but they empower others. And here's why it matters. If you micromanage people, one, they will hate it, right? And it will also cap your growth because you will still be a part of every decision. And so if you empower people and you hire people that are high quality, high capacity, and you empower them and you say, hey, you own this. You own sales. I'm going to check in. We're going to talk about how to be better, but you own sales. You own the phone. I'm not answering the phone. If you don't get it, it's going to voicemail. You're calling them back. You own this, and you empower people to own that role, and you let them do their job, and you get out of the way. Then you're going to empower them, and they will have this sense of pride, right? Of this sense of, hey, this is my job. I did a good job. This is my part of the company. But when you empower people, it does something amazing for you. It allows you to let go and focus on something else. And it gives them a big boost of self-esteem that they own that part of the job. So here's the thing. If you're like, Matt, I would empower people if I could just have the right people. If they are the wrong people and you cannot trust them, then they should not be working for you. I'm going to say it again. If you cannot trust the person with the job and you've given them training and examples of how to do everything, and you showed them the way and they still cannot do it and you cannot trust them, they are the wrong people. So give them authority, give them empowerment, let them do their job. You can have accountability and you can have training. And here's what I would encourage you is celebrate their wins publicly. And if you got to make corrections, don't wait for their annual review. Meet with them each quarter. Meet with them every so often and say, hey, how can we do things better? And here's some things I want you to work on personally. And so as I share with you this stuff, I will tell you the business owners that I have seen be able to scale their company, they empower people. The ones that collapse on themselves, they are the lid to their own growth because, like the example I talked about at the beginning of the episode of the person that would not hire anyone. Well, imagine if you had to do everything yourself. There's only so many hours in the day. You are your own lid to growth if you don't empower someone. So if you're putting out every fire, right, you don't have empowerment in place. If you were involved in every decision, every time there's a bump on a contract, every time something happens, if you are involved, you are micromanaging and you're not empowering people to lead. You're not empowering people to solve issues. You're micromanaging. If people are working for you and they are afraid to solve issues or they are afraid to make mistakes, it's because they feel you micromanaging them. You've taken any creative freedom from them to make a decision. So if you have people on your team and they're the right people and you're training them and you're empowering them and you're allowing them to lead and solve customer issues, this is what's going to happen. They are going to feel empowered. They're going to feel trusted. They are going to like their job way more. They're going to like you a whole lot more because you're out of the weeds. You're not in their lives and you are empowering them. If you have to touch every estimate, you're micromanaging. If you have to touch every contact, every review, whatever it is, you are not empowering and you're micromanaging. So part of the issue may be that the people need better systems. They also need training. And we're going to cover that in our next podcast episode. But here's what you need to know. The only way your company can scale as a team, as a company, and not just a single owner, there have to be other people that you trust, people that you love, people that you want to work with, and they love what they're doing. You empower them and they go out and they do great work. I'll give you an example. On our team, we have people that work and do different things in our company. And there's some people that work for us and with us, they're partners as well. They are so gifted at certain areas. And so I think about like Jeff is so gifted at video, creativity, fast stuff, and he just gets it. He just sees it. Ian, one of our developers, he is so good at building systems internally for our company. And so just here this last month, he said, Matt, I got this idea for how we could get tasks done faster. And within a few days, we had a new system in place that should save us seriously hours and hours on project management because it allows us to do things faster with more accountability. If I get in the middle of all that and it's not my gift, I'm going to slow everybody down. If I start trying to do things that are not in my gifting, right? And the thing is, I may be the CEO and title, but you know what? No one really cares that, hey, you're the CEO. Your company doesn't walk around saying, oh, he's the CEO. They look at you as John or Bob or Tom or Matt or whatever. They look at you as a person because they know all of your weaknesses. But when you get out of the way and you say, hey, you're good at this, I'm trusting you, and you empower them, they're going to love it. I'm telling you, this is one of the areas that I did not learn as a young entrepreneur. I would micromanage. I would not give people enough freedom to make mistakes, and I would not allow them to just own a segment of the business. I'm going to tell you, it's the greatest thing, though, when you can let go and say, hey, I've got the right people, and I'm going to let go. I just trust them. And if you don't, then you got to go fire them, which is a hard thing. And when that brings us to the next point, which is making tough calls. Making tough calls is being part of a business owner, and growth often requires pruning. And if you believe that healthy things grow, then you should want your business to be healthy. Actually, the number one goal for your business, it shouldn't be growth. It should be making it healthy. The number one thing for your business to scale should not be just growth. It should be health, because out of the health will be stable, consistent, reliable growth that is manageable. And you're like, hey, I want to double overnight. Well, if you doubled overnight and your volume, you would probably crash and burn because you don't have the people, the infrastructure, the systems, or the things in place that would allow it to be sustainable. We go up like a rocket, come down like a rocket, as some people say. So making tough calls is super important. When I was a young entrepreneur, I was probably about 28 years old. We had grown our mortgage business pretty substantially. And, we're probably doing at the time, maybe a couple $1 million a month in real estate transactions. And so that's pretty substantial for, especially you figure what houses cost, way back when. And so very busy, very successful, got a lot of loan officers that are bringing in loans, doing training. I think morale is good, but there was a couple things in our company that were negative. And I just I can't put my finger on it. And it all came from our processing department. And what I found out, there was a processor that was very, very negative. And she would come in and she would talk bad about my wife and I, the owners of the company. And our relationship began to just kind of deteriorate. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And finally, I sat down a couple of my loan officers and I said, hey, I got some weird vibes and I just want to know if you know anything. And they're like, Matt, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but hey, she's really offended. She's talking bad about you and all of these things. Well, I ended up confronting the person and then she quit. And I will just say, I didn't handle that the right way. I should have went to her a long time ago. I should have confronted her a different way. I probably could have resolved her issues and my issues had I just had a conversation, but I was young. I didn't know what to do. I was upset. I confronted her harshly. Then she quit. But here's what I'm going to tell you that happened. When she left, right, and everybody on our team was for us, and I sat everyone down. I said, guys, listen, this is what happened. I'm not having that. I don't want to feel like we're walking on eggshells. We got to love each other. We got to serve each other. We got to be for each other. And when she left, was a transition point in our company, and we grew even faster. But we grew without any stress. So now loans are closing faster. There's systems. Everyone is using the system. We're holding up an accountability because that one bad apple, that one person that pushed back on everything, once they were out of the way, it was smooth sailing. It was joyful, and we grew, and our systems were in place, and it allowed our culture to be so much healthy. So here's what I would just tell you. There's somebody probably already on your staff. You're like, you got to fire them. You know that they are the lid. You know that they are the problem. You have confronted them. You've talked to them. They don't get your heart. They probably talk about you behind your back. And it's time to probably go to them and talk to them and say, hey, are we good? And if we're not, we probably need to figure this out so you can find something else. If they are not doing the job the right way, you need to talk to them and say, hey, this is what I expect. And if you can't do this and you're not willing to do these changes, then we're going to have to figure something out where you do something. And this is why it matters. You have to address underperformance. You have to address bad behavior, bad toxic behavior, gossip or slandering behind your back, because it's going to mess up morale in your company. And if you don't do anything about the problem and you don't address the problem, then you lose credibility with everybody else. Listen, if there's somebody on your team that is a real pain in the butt and you don't address it, you lose credibility with your team. And if you as a leader don't address a problem, the problem isn't the problem. You, the leader, are the problem because you did not address it. I know that's harsh. Here's a couple other tips I will say with making tough calls with people. Hire slow, okay? Hire really slow, fire fast. It's kind of cliche, I know, but it is a key component for scaling. So in our businesses over the years, I think I've had to fire maybe 2 or 3 people. Over the years, we had very few people ever quit. Our turnover rate was very, very low. One reason was because I studied a lot to do with leadership. I wanted to treat them well. I wanted to pay them well. And obviously, I'm not perfect, definitely made some mistakes, but we always wanted to make them feel like they were partners of our company. They were part of the future. I paid them well. We celebrated together. When they messed up, we gave them grace, right? We gave them encouragement. Flexibility. We had company lunches. We tried to boost morale. And you have to know this. If you're going to scale, you have to believe that your people are your greatest asset. If you believe your people, your human capital is your greatest asset, they will know it and they will work harder and better for you than they would for anyone else. But you have to treat them like it. So you treat the great people well. If someone is showing bad behavior, right, that is hurting the culture, you have to cut it out as a cancer. Otherwise, it will spread. So we've talked about number 1, right? Empowering people, number 1, focusing. Number 2, empowering people. Number 3, making tough calls. Number 4 is finding balance. Finding balance. And why this matters is burned out leaders. If you are burned out yourself, you will burn out your team. If you are working 80, 90 hours a week, working 6, 7 days a week, right? Not taking time for your family, not taking time for your kids, for your wife. You are working those kind of hours. You are asking to be burned out. You're asking to have a crisis. You are asking to have a divorce or something bad happen in your life. I'm saying this in kindness and love. If you are working those kind of hours, you lack balance. And when I see business owners that work those kind of hours and they never take time off, right? They never leave early some days. They never take a day, off a week at least, if they never leave to just have some freedom, it sets them up for crisis. And what I will tell you is I've seen teams not like the boss because the boss is so driven and just got to get it done, got to scale at all costs, all of these hours, I got to work. And so if you are working that hard, then you're violating the other rule of empowerment. You're not empowering somebody. And if you're not taking time off, your team will never know what it's like to survive without you. If you would just go away for a day and let them figure it out, you'll realize, hey, everything's okay. And better yet, I actually had some time off. We're working with a new company now, and I really like the business owner. And he purchased the company, and he brought it from what I perceive was a pretty toxic place with the previous business owner to a very healthy place. And when I met with a business owner, there was such kindness and good morale with the team. Not only that, before we started working with them, he took almost a month off, several weeks off of vacation, and the company went on without him. And it showed that he empowered them, he trusted them, And it shows that that company has a better chance of scaling because it's not just him driving everyone else. It's a whole team working together. If your life is out of balance and you are pursuing growth and money at all costs, your team knows it. If they feel that they are just a number and you don't care about them, you only care about scaling at all costs, they won't stay committed to your business because they care more about work than just money. Money is part of it, right? It does matter. But if they think you only care about money and that you would cut them to find someone new in a second, they aren't going to give you their best work. And more than likely, they are going to look for better opportunities themselves. And so when you are so driven and you are out of balance and you're working crazy hours, telling you, you're asking for a burnout. You're asking for a divorce. No one asked for a divorce, right? But that's where you're headed. You're asking for trouble in the family. You're asking for major medical issues. Now, I'm going to be super vulnerable with you. In 2006, I was working my tail off. I mean, the economy was crashing. We had a lot of money in the bank, but every month, I think we were losing about $30,000 a month. Correspondent lending companies were closing down. So as we would get ready to close a loan and we were going to sell it, before we could close it, that companies were closing. And of course, this is the financial crisis. And I want to say this is like our business model, we had two teams. We had our main team was through loan officers who worked with builders, who worked with realtors. So we had a bunch of local business. We would go out, we would visit, we would smooth. This is how I started learning about marketing. And that's how we did. We didn't do the crazy loans. We didn't do the stuff that was high risk. If anybody asked for that, we made them sign extra disclosures that we had internally that weren't even required by law. The other thing we did is we did a lot of online marketing. That's how I learned about Google Ads, and we hired SEO and started building systems and things like that as I read the E-Myth, which we'll talk about. So here we are, a healthy company, and all of a sudden we're starting to crash and burn. So what do? I'm just like, hey, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to work, right? I'm going to work till the end. I'm just going to work. And so I would work at the office in the morning, go in like 9 to 5, 9 to 6. Then when my wife would go to bed at 10, I would work from 10 to 2, 10 to 4, working on ways that we could grow, reading marketing books, doing stuff, sending out direct mail letters, learning and working, probably working 90, 100 hours a week. So here's what happens to your body when you are under an immense amount of stress. You go to bed at 4 o'clock, you get up at 8, right? 4 hours of sleep a day. I weighed probably 180 pounds at the time. And I began to get very, very sick and feel weak and went to the doctor, and I had type 2 diabetes, doesn't run in my family, 500 blood sugars. And at that moment, I realized, goodness, I did all this work, and to be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes because of the amount of effort and stress, well, in the end, the company still closed, right? In the end, we did all of that work and it didn't matter. And here's what I want to tell you. If your company can't make it on you working 50 hours or 55, maybe even 60 at the most, then really there's something not right in what you're doing. Nothing is worth it. More than likely, there's other people you could be empowering. More than likely, there's things that don't matter that you think matter that you are doing, and your life is out of balance. And whenever a business owner is out of balance, he doesn't have time to lead his team well. And so as we kind of finish up, I want to go through some common questions. But again, the number one thing I see is that you got to be focused. Number two, you got to empower people. Number three, you got to make tough calls. And number four, you got to find balance so you don't end up hurting your life in a bad way. And remember, your behavior and the way you model your behavior, your team sees that. So I hope you do those things. Scaling isn't about working harder. It's about being a better leader and leading smarter. And one thing you'll find is that a lot of the companies that scale, there are seasons where, they have to work a little bit more, but they are quick to figure out how they can replace themselves so that they aren't doing wasteful things. They are doing things that matter. Now, in our next episode, we are going to dive into some practical steps of growth, and we're not going to talk about people. We're going to talk about systems and technology and how they can hold everything together. We're going to talk about automation. We're going to talk about CRMs, and we're going to kind of dig into that together. I want to end up with just a few questions that I hear about leadership. And one of the questions I get asked sometimes from business owners is like, how can I work less when financially we're on such a tight rope? Like, Matt, I want to work less, but I got to hustle because financially it's tight. A lot of times, unfortunately, this is due to personal debt. And so you have got the house, the boat, the cars, and all of this. And so you have to make a certain amount of income. And so what you've done is likely financed your way to success. And if you are working because you need a ton of money, it's a personal decision that you made with debt to take that on. And what I would say is get out of debt, sell something, sell the house, right? Sell the boat, rent, do something, do whatever it takes so that financially you are not so burdened that you have to work so much. And when you remove personal debt, you will remove the thing that clouds decisions and increases pressure. Having pressure to be successful is good, but too much pressure can cause other areas of your life to crack. And nobody wants that. No one wants to ruin their life. And so who cares? You know what I think about this? A couple of years ago, we decided to sell our house. It was almost paid off and, worth a lot of money. And we rented for a couple of years. And I did that because we're in Florida and I kind of saw prices coming down a little bit. I also said, hey, we're going to be expanding this other area of business. We're building a SaaS application. We have a couple of businesses that we do. And I said, this will just take off the pressure. The thing is, without any personal debt, and so now we own our home. We don't have any other debt except for our mortgage. And this is what I'm going to say. When you don't have debt, you don't have car payments, you don't have all that mess and all that nonsense, it allows you to do work that you love principally. But when there's a monthly pressure of all this money you have to bring in, it makes you make bad decisions. So we sold our house. Okay. We've had some great years over since then. Bought our house, just have one 15-year mortgage, don't have any other debt. And I'm not saying that to brag or anything like that, but I'm saying we do our work each month with joy. We work balanced hours and we do it because we don't have financial pressure. Like there's not financial pressure. When you have financial pressure, it will cloud your decision. So I would suggest get out of debt so that you can work less and find balance in your life. Another question is when should I work on my business? I don't know if I have time. And this is what I would suggest you do. Block out a day when you work on your business and not in it. You don't do appointments, meetings, events, or anything, no calls, and you just work on your business. You work on the marketing, you work on the sales, the documentation, planning, goals, training. For me, I do this on Monday and Tuesdays. Monday and Tuesdays, I work on the business. I will do trainings. I will do a couple of coaching calls with my team. Sometimes I do not work with any client marketing work or anything on that. We are only working on making the business better on Monday and Tuesday. And the first part of Monday, I spend planning. And then Tuesdays, I do that. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'll do marketing work for clients. I'll take meetings. But Monday and Tuesdays have to be the day that I work on the business. Another question I got, and this is a tough one. How do I fire a friend? And this is a tough situation. If your friend is hurting your business, I hope you hear me. If your friend is hurting your business, they're not really your friend. Most likely you're feeling a little insecure and you need their approval and you don't want to ruin that thing that's happening. But if they were a good person and doing a good job, you wouldn't want to fire them, right? If they were a good person and doing a good job, you would want them to stay. But if they're not doing a good job, right, and they are not being a good employee, then you have to go to them and let them know that their job is on the line. Don't just fire them out of the blue, right? Tell them, say, hey, I thought we were friends, but here's the thing that I see. This is my company and it has to go well. And these are the expectations and you're not doing them. If you don't do these things and you don't change your behavior, I'm going to have to let you go and give them some time to make things right. If they don't, you got to fire them. And guess what? The world is a big place. You'll find more friends, but you cannot call someone a friend that is actually hurting your company. Lastly, Matt, how can I take time off when I have so much to do? Isn't this a tough one, business owners? This is what you do. If you can afford to do it, you just take it. You block it out on your calendar. Next spring, we are going on a cruise. My whole family's going on a cruise over spring break. It's already paid for. It's already booked. When you book a vacation, you have to take it, right? And this is what you'll find out when you schedule it. A few weeks before the vacation, you are realizing, okay, I got to get all this done. And what you realize is things just work out. You block off that week and you communicate with customers or your staff, even if you don't have any customers or any staff, and you will be amazed that you will get so much more done the week, month before vacation. People understand, they realize, and what's great is vacations force you to relax, unwind, and find balance. And I love going on vacation because I usually will read a book or two. I'm going to give you 3 books that will help you as a business owner. These are 2 of the books are like foundational reading for me on leadership. Another book is a great one for being a CEO. And the other one is kind of one that kind of built my values and principles for leadership. But the first 2 books are by John Maxwell. And I would read the 21 Laws of Leadership, which is got a lot of history in it, but they're foundational leadership principles. These are the laws of leadership. And basically it says, if you follow these laws, people will follow you. And one that is more introspective is the 21 Qualities of a Leader. Read that book and look in the mirror. Say, hey, do I have these characters? Am I behaving like a good leader? I think those will really, really help you and give you a different view of leadership. Another book I would read is Patrick Lencioni's book. It's an older book and it's in the fable format. It's The 5 Temptations of a CEO. And as a CEO, you will be tempted to be liked and to let there be peace. And I won't go into everything with that book, but that book is pretty eye-opening. So you will see that you probably need to mix things up and shake things up. If you're worried all the time about what people think, you're probably falling for the temptations of a CEO. And the last book is by me. I'm by no means a famous author or anything, but it's a book called The Entree Spirit, The DNA of Self-Starters and People Who Get Things Done. You can get that on Amazon as well. That book is about my journey about how we hire. And so we only hire entrepreneurs. So anyone that's on our team, they are very entree spirited, and they have the 5 things that I look for as part of the entree spirit. So that is our guide to hiring. That's also a fable. It talks about a story about kind of some hard times that we had been through in the past and how we learned to be successful again. So that's it for today's episode. I want to thank you for listening. Remember, we got 2 more in this series. We're going to be talking about systems and building infrastructure for your company to support it and support the growth. And then we're going to talk about marketing. I'm going to go and do a deep dive into everything that a scaling company does for their marketing. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Thanks for listening to the podcast today. We hope you found today's episode helpful and informative. For more information about Grow Inc. and to request our free marketing blueprint ebook and other resources, please visit www.grow.inc. That's GRO.inc. We'll catch you in the next episode.